Yeah.
I think party every day would be exhausting.
Oh yeah, dude. Listen, at our age right now that we are, yes, we could not party. I don't know how those guys in rock do it nowadays. Like, I don't know how they do it. Now, maybe it's just like it's a persona they're giving off and they're not really partying it up. Maybe, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, after a sold out concert, they're not heading out drinking and partying. They're just going home and reading a book. I don't know.
No, they are for sure partying it up.
Maybe. I just don't know if I could do it. I don't know. I don't have the functional capability to do that.
I get, if you didn't have a regular day job, maybe you'd be able to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, but any job, to be honest with you, if you were working, like, I don't know. How could you afford it? How much money have you ever thought about how much money you spent in your single partying days on, like, booze and club entrance fees, and likely in your case hookers and strippers?
Hookers and strippers, yeah, unless you pull a GTA and you no, anyways. But yeah, I luckily, I don't know if I luckily or whatever, I was like the the nerd geek, right? So it's like,
really,
you would spend it all on your video games and stuff. So yeah, I guess you would look at your wall and you'd have a Sega Genesis, Nintendo, Saturn, Dream, all that stuff would be adding up. And then you, once in a while, you go out with your friends who like to drink, and you're like, you just spent how much on a bottle of wine and shots for the whole table? I would see those receipts and I'd be like, holy shnikes. You could buy, like, I remember some nights ago, you could buy a crappy tuner car now for the price, like $1,200 or whatever people spend on, like, a party hardy type thing. And I'm like, you could buy a small tuner car and wrench on that or something like that. But yeah.
The amount of money I spent, and I would wake up like on Sundays or like look back on Mondays and being like at my bank account going, how did I spend $280 in 2 days? Like, and it was just all on.
But it's the memories. You're paying for the memories, because those guys who spent,
which I drank or smoked away.
You don't remember, but other people have the memories that they share, and those guys always have, or gals, whatever, have amazing stories. So I don't know what the trade-off is. I'd have to see it. Welcome, folks, to the Sidekick Show. We are your hosts, Rob Gaudet over there, the handsome fella, and myself, John. Pale comparison. Almost literally, my skin, I look so pale compared to you. Anyways,
that's true. And I got a nice fresh haircut.
Look at you with a fresh fade.
Yeah,
yo,
buddy.
I'm willing. If anyone wants to get the Vanilla Ice eyebrow thingies, let me know. I'm willing to front the money for this style choice, just so I can take pictures with you and stuff like that. Rob, I figured before we start, maybe we'll talk a little bit about things we saw this weekend. I know you watched a movie that I didn't watch, and I probably dived into a little bit of a movie that you didn't watch, but we both did watch Morbius. And I think we're gonna probably do an episode on it that can span like hours upon hours of just talking about this. But just quick thoughts to the folks tuning in on Mobius or Morbius.
Not Mobius. Mobius was he was in Loki. Quick thoughts. Yes, we are going to do a full spoiler review. I believe Stu went and saw it, so we're waiting on him. This is not worth your money. Like, I don't know if theaters have the 450 Tuesdays or 425 Tuesdays anymore. Maybe if you had a theater that had that, maybe. In all honesty, this is a movie that you will not. It will, like, watching it in the theater is not a better experience than watching it at home. So all I have to say is that if you are so inclined to watch it at home, whether it's on Netflix or Crave, by the end of the summer, it will be streaming for free, like in one of your subscription services. You might as well wait. The only caveat I have, John, is that, man, I got to sit in some really sweet seats at my theater
you got like an isolated booth, basically.
Yes. And I got to say, like, that for me and my son, we both said that was the best way to watch. Like that made the movie like not that the movie was good, but that made our experience. It salvaged our experience of watching that movie because that.
So you could
Dude,
talk about anything.
The headrest went up and
Yeah.
down. Oh, it was
Oh man,
fantastic.
that sounds like a more interesting experience. But we'll hold it back for the review, folks. There's a couple comments. Lewis didn't watch Morbius. I'm jealous.
Yeah. So what's your quick thoughts then, John?
Fraser says worse than Venom 2. And then Lewis says worse than Wonder Woman 84. I think this is going to be a debate when we dive into it. So I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, unfortunately, it didn't. I feel like it just didn't come together at all. So I was pretty disappointed. I think it's probably one of my most disappointing theater experiences in a while. The closest thing I could think of was that Conan movie with Jason Momoa and Ron Perlman, and maybe the Underworld movie where it was vampires versus werewolves. But I don't know. We're gonna dive into it. But you did watch another movie. I think you watched Moonfall, which was that movie that you were pretty upset about not going to theaters.
Oh shit!
Like,
how dare
they take this movie off the schedule? I'm outraged. They took it off the Canadian schedule, and you were like, I want to see this. So you watched Moonfall. I guess spoiler free. Should everyone else tune in to Moonfall and watch it?
No. Listen, I'm a mark for disaster movies, right? I just watched recently, within the last few weeks, within like a 5-day period, like Deep Impact, The Day After Tomorrow, Volcano. Like I watched all. Like I like those disaster movies. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This movie in and of itself was a disaster.
You're already beholding the biggest disaster of the weekend, which was Morbius. And now you talk
movie. And here's the thing, John. I watched Moonfall yesterday. It's playing on Amazon Prime. If you have it, if you feel so inclined to watch it, you just go right ahead. But I had a certain amount of time. And, I was trying to... this is my choices. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Moonfall or The Godfather. Because I just got the remastered edition.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel kind of tired. And I could watch The Godfather for the day. But do I... I've seen it. Like, I should probably watch something that's new and fresh and recent. Like, I'm so upset at myself.
This is the debate. The debate is, do you watch something old, tired, and true, or whatever you want to call it? I think Lewis sent me this great meme that was like, oh, I watched this new thing someone recommended to me, or watch these Star Trek episodes that I've watched a million times, right? And it shows the guy kicking down the Star Trek episodes once. So thanks for the meme, Lewis. But yeah, that's the thing. You go back and watch something, but hey, aren't you glad you didn't see it in theaters then?
I am. I wouldn't have gone to the theaters to see it. I don't think it was just more of the principle of why they pulled it, because they wanted more money. Whatever.
Maybe because it was trash, they pulled it. Fraser said he actually enjoyed it, so shout outs to you, Fraser. If you have anything in particular that you liked about it, or maybe you just put it on in the background. Because speaking of background movies, I tried to watch The Bubble, which was the Netflix movie with Kieran Gillen, Dave Duchovny, Jordan Peele.
Dude, that's
everybody.
Yeah, and that's directed by Judd Apatow.
Yeah. I tried to watch it. I got halfway through. I don't know if it was the subject matter or just maybe they were trying a little bit too hard. It's the premise is basically they're actors that are on like a big franchise movie set, and it's taking place during COVID, so that's why they call it The Bubble. So maybe it just mirrors too much of what was going on, but I felt like the jokes were just trying a little too hard. So I got about halfway through. And then I switched over to Starship Troopers because everyone was talking about that. We forgot to mention it last week. Everyone was like, Starship Troopers, one of the rewatch movies. So I flipped back to that, and everybody's in that. Like Neil Patrick Harris is in that, Denise Richards and stuff like that. So I actually had a blast flipping that. I think The Bubble is probably a good movie if you want to turn something on in the background, or you want to be able to just, one of those turn your brain off and watch movies. So if you say it was, it's written or directed by Judd Apatow, I guess both. Yeah, which I do usually like his stuff. Maybe just for some reason I wasn't feeling the subject matter because they're talking about quarantines and all the. I'm like, we're still living this, so maybe it dropped a little too soon. Maybe we needed to be out, or maybe the U.S. is out of it. But anything else that you watched this weekend, Rob, that you would mention?
No, I will say though, but because of last week's conversation about your favorite movies, things that you've watched on replay, I ended up diving into 2 movies that I used to watch a lot. I used to own them back in the in my video store days. Really quickly, one was The Game. David Fincher directed, Michael Keaton, Sean Penn. I love that movie, and dude, it holds up. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't seen The Game, it is on Prime. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It holds up. It's great. And the other one was LA Confidential. I loved that movie back in the day, and I watched it a lot, and I put it on a couple days after our show last week, and I was like, man, this one, another movie that holds up completely, and it's so good. Despite
LA
the fact
Confidential,
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey, it's a big deal director, right? It's
what do you mean? The director of that movie?
LA Confidential, right?
Yeah, he passed away. Rob something or other, but yeah.
I remember it's on one of those, like, a whole bunch of movies I like, and it's like, oh, this movie slides in there. So I haven't gotten around to that one either.
Oh, okay, it's very cool. Yeah.
I think I'll have to get to it. But yeah, I think that was fun, folks. So let's jump into what we normally do, which is hit you with some new stuff coming in the shop, and Rob's going to hit you with the news. So new stuff in the shop. I just kept it simple. We got a whole bunch of comics coming in. I didn't want to pull any expensive statues this time, so we can chat a little more about stuff later. So if you're not following us on our Facebook and Instagram, the Heroes World, Facebook, Instagram, Heroes World Online, we post the new comic book releases every Monday, so you can check that out and let us know what you need. I'm going to bring your attention to a couple titles that were really cool that I think you should check out. So Batman 122 is coming out, which is part 2 of the Shadow War, which is a big kind of crossover between Batman, Deathstroke Inc., and they just released a Shadow War Alpha last week, which the plot is basically Deathstroke has assassinated Ra's al Ghul, and now Talia's out for revenge. So we got a lot of cool stuff going on. These are 2 covers here. Cover A, cover B is the cardstock cover. Which cover would you choose, Rob? I know you don't buy the monthlies anymore, but
I actually like both covers, but I do like cover B.
Yeah. The cover B is usually like they kind of take away the logos and stuff and kind of put them in the little bar on the side. So they're pretty nice. They're pretty premium. Oh man, yeah. Sorry, Jesse's mentioning the Ghost Maker action figures. So the whole Jorge Jimenez run, it looks like he might be getting a bunch of different action figures. One of the new characters from Batman Ghost Maker. I should actually try and grab pictures of that later. I'll see if I can throw that up. Another title coming out is this is a reprint. So Rob might remember this from the Flashpoint run.
Yeah.
This is Batman Night of Vengeance, which features Flashpoint Batman, which is Thomas Wayne Batman. And they did kind of a whole spin, changing the origin up during this big event called Flashpoint, which was I think it was Flash tries to fix the thing that happened to his mother in the past, right? And it just turns the whole DC. The whole DCU gets flipped up. So for some reason they're bringing this back.
The events of Flashpoint then lead into what happens with the new 52, but I digress.
So I think it's because they're going to be kind of referencing this story point, so they've decided to reprint this issue. So it's a really good issue, so definitely check that out when we get it. And then we also are getting Spider-Punk #1. So Spider-Punk, one of the smash hit characters from the whole Spider-Verse thing in comic form. Did he appear in the animated feature? I don't remember.
No.
Okay, yeah. So if you like this character's aesthetic, he was hugely popular. Got his own action figure, got his own Hot Toys, all kinds of stuff. So now he's finally going to get his own comics. So I think you guys probably want to check that one out. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, sorry, X-Men Red, which features the new team led by Storm, and this whole kind of big thing with the X-Men going on. It looks pretty good. So I don't know. It's got multiple covers. I should have pulled the other who was working on. Oh, sorry, Al Ewing. Al Ewing's writing it. He was doing the Immortal Hulk. So we should expect some crazy things to go down for you X-Men fans. So those are some of the comics coming out. I'll hit you guys up with some other cool merch and fun stuff next week. Rob, you got the news coming up?
I do, buddy. So, I do. Actually, I miss collecting single floppies, man.
Yeah. It's fun.
All right. Hey, John. You and I are big. First of all, hey, thanks everybody who are in the chat and who's watching tonight, and those who'll be listening afterwards. Really appreciate it. If you haven't had an opportunity to check out the Heroes World podcast with myself, Stu, and Andre showed up again. We did what did we do, John? Oh, we did
Moon Knight.
Did Moon Knight. That's right. Review of episode 1. Listen, it's been a long day. I thought today was Thursday. That's how long today's been for me. I thought it was
Thursday. freaking 4 days of the week.
I did. I was walking the dog before this. I said to my son, I was like, wow, we were talking about Sonic. And I'm like, well, maybe we'll go tomorrow. And he goes, tomorrow? It's Tuesday. I'm like, wait, today's not Thursday? I don't know. So yeah, if you haven't checked that out, go definitely check out our review of Moon Knight episode 1. Hey, John, you and I are big fans of The Crow.
Yeah.
We've talked about it quite a bit on this show. Love it. It's one of our movies that we could rewatch time and time again. And for years, they've been talking about doing a reboot. Even your buddy Jason Momoa was once linked to play Eric Draven. Well, news came out last week that a reboot that we had spoken about back in maybe December or January, that there was rumor that they were starting to look at production commencing this summer. That is going forward, and they have found a new actor to play Eric Draven, and that is none other than Bill Skarsgård, one of the Skarsgård kids. He will be playing Eric Draven in the Crow reboot. And of course, if you may not recognize him here, John, but Billy is mostly known for playing Pennywise the Clown in It Part 1 and 2.
Do you think they just pulled up a list of actors and actresses that are like, they can wear white makeup like nobody's business? So
you know what? Yeah, maybe. I will say his Pennywise is terrifying.
Oh yeah,
you know, I'm a big fan of Tim Curry, but he is terrifying as Pennywise. And I'm going on. I'm doing a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon moment here, John. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to start off here. Speaking of It, there's a prequel series being done at HBO Max titled Welcome to Derry. The project's being produced by both by the director of It, which is Andy Muschietti, who, as you know, is the director of next year's Flash movie. Speaking of Flash, star Ezra Miller has been having some legal troubles of late. The actor was arrested in Hawaii for disorderly conduct, and a restraining order was issued as he is alleged to have threatened a couple with death. John, he threatened to murder a couple allegedly. No
with
word.
Death. Do you think he actually was like, I threaten you with death? Or is that just a nice way of saying, I'm gonna effing kill you or something?
That's right. Wouldn't that'd be much better. I swear to God, I'm threatening you. Yeah, you may threaten me with death. That to me is more terrifying than I'm gonna kill you, because everybody says that. My wife says that to me. If somebody says I threaten you with death, that is a bit terrifying. No word from WB or Miller on these legal woes, but John, they are just the latest.
What a surprise!
Yeah. This guy was supposed to attend the Fantastic Beasts premiere, and he did not show. Surprise, surprise. But this is the latest line, a decent line of idiotic behavior for the Flash star. But I digress. John, you know how the Flash is kind of buds with the Blue Beetle in the Justice League Unlimited? Okay. And there's a Blue Beetle movie being filmed right now with your boy from Cobra Kai, Zolo Mariduena. Anyways, it looks as though they're going to be getting some Hollywood royalty to join the film, as your favorite star of Catwoman the movie, Sharon Stone, is in talks to play the villain. So John, what are your thoughts?
Catwoman the movie, we're talking about the Halle Berry Catwoman, right?
And Sharon Stone was the villain in Catwoman.
Sharon Stone was the bad guy in that disaster of a movie. Okay.
Right.
Okay, sure.
And now she looks like to be signing on to be the bad guy, the villain in Blue Beetle. I will say there has been some rumors, John, and take this with a giant grain of salt. Here I am throwing it at you. That she could be playing the wife of Ted Kord. So
okay.
Who knows? Who knows? But that was the end of my there is Sharon
that
Stone.
guy knows.
That guy knows. And John, as much as we hate to end the news on a sad story, we cannot just pass over the really sad and unfortunate news that came out of Hollywood last week regarding Bruce Willis. It was announced by his family that Bruce has been diagnosed with aphasia, which is an inability to comprehend or formulate language, which is generally a result of some specific trauma to brain regions in the brain. Now, this would explain the amount of B movies that Willis has been making of late. And in fact, I think you and we've maybe joked about what's going on with Bruce Willis churning out all these movies. Reports are he's been working to bank as much money as possible. As an aside, John, and there are some stories out there that he may not have known he was doing these movies, and that there might have been some other people behind the push. We kind of saw something similar with Stan Lee.
there's some articles, that he was taking advantage of and didn't know what was going on. And I haven't watched a lot of these movies that kind of got pushed out, but a good friend of mine did, who's notorious for just watching a whole bunch of bad movies. Definitely can. He said he can see it. He understands it now, because he'd be like, some of these movies are missing pieces, and it's like he's phoning it in and things like that. So yeah, it's rather unfortunate news.
Yeah, I mean, it's a horrible way to go out on a storied career such as his. So obviously, our thoughts with his family and with Willis at this time, because it's not easy. I mean, the man is, I think he was 68. He's not old, but it's a tough time for them. So we're thinking about them. But we here at the Sidekick Show have reviewed Die Hard 1, Die Hard 2, which was John's favorite, and The Last Boy Scout. But John, do you have any other Willis movies that you love to watch on like a repeat? Is there something, one or two of them that you're like, man, I
do remember
this movie.
Die Hard 3 coming up a lot when I was in our younger days. So when we get back to back to our 90s movie bracket, it might come up. But I was a fan of, I don't know if you remember this movie, Tears of the Sun.
Yes,
where he was.
I know you were a fan of his co-star Maria. What was her name? Maria Botello or whatever.
Perhaps. But I was going through this whole phase.
Italian actress.
But I do recall I was in a whole phase of I really like kind of like that mercenary military kind of like feel. So I do remember quite enjoying that movie. I haven't watched it in a million years, so I don't know if it holds up. Yeah. But another one that was on my rewatch list was The Fifth Element with Chris Tucker, Mila Jovovich, right? And just a host of people. I own it on Laserdisc, and I think I've only actually watched it a handful of times. I don't know if
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman's in it. Yeah. Oh my God, it's like an all-star cast. So we might have to add that to the list. If anyone else has got their favorite Bruce Willis movie, shout it out. Jesse's talking about Armageddon. I do have fond memories of Armageddon in the theater, Rob. I know it was considered,
Michael Bay movie.
Rotten Tomato or whatever, but I remember enjoying it when I saw it in the theaters, and that Aerosmith song was like a humongous hit. Like, what are your thoughts on Armageddon?
Well, we just showed my daughter won't watch movies, so we just showed my son. Maybe it was over the holidays or maybe in the fall. We watched Armageddon. He thought it was okay. He's got this thing where it's like if it's made before he was born 2009. If it's made before 2005, he's like, that's like old school cinema, like where they were still using like this, right? And I'm like, no, man. But so listen, it is funny. It's very Michael Bayism. If you're a fan of the 90s Michael Bay, Armageddon's right up your alley. For me, I am.
Ambulance this week, Rob. Are we doing Ambulance? That's the question.
No.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Michael Bay has already gone on record saying that there's a lot of really shitty special effects in that movie, and he's really upset about it. For me though, like with Bruce Willis, I think of The Sixth Sense. I think of how that movie hit me like with a ton of bricks when you found out the M. Night, like the ending of things. But my biggest thing, aside from the Die Hard stuff, is Pulp Fiction. And in fact, at the Oscars last weekend, where you saw 3 stars of Pulp Fiction come out, right? You saw
Samuel Jackson,
John Travolta, and
Uma Thurman.
Thank you. Uma Thurman
I just watched this movie last year, folks.
I actually thought that they would have made some type of a comment or reference.
This guy put it at his top 5 list. But yeah.
Dude, it's been a long day.
I guess they wanted to respect this.
But they could just. I mean, it was just. Anyways. So yeah, to see those guys out there, I think of that. I also think of 12 Monkeys. With Brad Pitt.
I haven't seen that. That's with Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah, and Unbreakable. Unbreakable is another M. Night Shyamalan movie, which was like before its time as a decent superhero comic book movie that's not based on any existing IP. So
I remember it being pretty fun, and my buddy watched me. He was like, I don't know about that. And I'm like, did you know that was supposed to be like a trilogy and all this kind of craziness was supposed to come from it? And then he was like, really? Oh, that makes so much more sense. He's like, oh, I'd watch that. And then I think he did throw back to it. Do you remember, did you ever watch Over the Hedge, where he did the voice for, I think the raccoon character or something like that?
No, I don't think I saw that one. No.
I think that one was a lot of fun. Lewis mentions Red and Red 2. I haven't seen Red 2, but I
haven't seen Red 2 either. I saw Red. It's all right.
I remember Red 1 being Cop Out
with Yeah, that's with directed by Kevin Smith, and that was I mean, he and Kevin Smith have somewhat made up, but that was a pretty contentious period in Kevin Smith's filmmaking career. There's a lot of funny stories about Bruce Willis and he not getting along very well on the set of that movie.
Lucky Number 7 with our guy Josh Hartnett.
Yep.
Is it Josh Hartnett? Yeah.
Yep.
It was Josh Hartnett.
And Death Wish.
Death Wish. Yeah.
That
was a newer one. The remake.
Wish. Yeah. And
I heard it was
believe
okay.
it's all right. I think it was directed by Antoine Fuqua, right? So, and Jesse.
G.I. Joe 2 is fun. G.I. Joe 2 is fun. If they had retooled it into a Bruce Willis vehicle, I did see all the newer Die Hards as well.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Some of them had moments, and it's unfortunate that they couldn't just reclaim that magic. From at least the first movie and in the third movie, a little bit of the second movie, I guess. But yeah, thanks for chatting chatting about Bruce Willis with us. Maybe we'll have to do a Bruce Willis episode. Well wishes to his family, friends, and the performer himself. Hopefully, this retirement means better quality of life for him. So I don't want to end on that super sad note, Rob. So I did want to throw something else at you. This was some news that was pretty funny for April Fools. My guy, I don't know if this was a joke or not. Tyrese tweeted out that Martin Scorsese. I don't know.
No, there's no H. Scorsese.
I can't do it. I'm not gonna stop. But he tweeted out that someone obviously made an April Fool's joke and photoshopped this picture, and then Tyrese tweets it out or Instagrams it out, and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe it!" Like so excited. So I feel bad.
Yeah, but look at the quote. This is the thing that Tyrese thought this was what Martin Scorsese had said. Quote: "I was aghast to find out it was based on a comic book. This is the truest height of cinema, and even I cannot top it. A wise man admits when he is wrong, and I was wrong. I apologize to all comic book movies." And Tyrese is like, wow, I cannot believe what just happened. And
but this was, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, this Morbius sweep was basically the April Fool's joke. So whoever thought of dropping this movie down in April 1st, hey, my hat, I tip my hat to you. Because now you get all this press, this free press, and people don't know what to believe. They don't know if it's fake, if it's real or not. But I don't know.
Dude, you're trying to tell me Martin Scorsese, the director of Taxi Driver, of Gangs of New York, of The Departed, he's like, this is true art. This is true cinema that even I could not top. And Tyrese is going to believe Marty Scorsese. Yeah, you're a guy fished in.
I don't know. I feel like someone on his team made that tweet and he retweeted it just to get people talking about the movie. So
or you will come to defend your guy.
He's good. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. I don't know if he knows what he's doing. But he did. I did criticize him. He gave a bunch of tickets away for Morbius to his fans. I was kind of like, oh man, those guys are gonna be disappointed when they go see that movie. So we look forward to our Morbius review when we can talk more about that. But I think that's it. Yeah, good news segment, Rob. Sorry, I had to throw that in there just to lighten up the mood. I think we want to get to our movie now. Anything else we want to talk about before we drop the movie we're here to discuss?
No, man. No, I don't think so. I think. Are you still watching Halo? We'll quickly jump into that. You still watching Halo?
No, I didn't get to watch episode 2, but I've heard nasty things about it. Should we continue watching? Rob, you were kind of.
I watched it last night.
About it, right?
Yeah, I watched it. Okay, so yeah, I was. Here's the thing I'm finding very interesting, John.
If you watched it, let us know in the comments too. Yeah.
This is a show I feel is very divisive. There are some I'm gleaming from based on what they're talking about are hardcore Halo nerds or people who enjoy the IP who are enjoying the hell out of this show because it's different. That they may not have enjoyed the storylines in the games. They thought they were okay or whatever, but they're enjoying the show and the different turns it's taking. And then there are others, and I'm not there's no, I'm not speaking out of school here. Like Andre, our friend Andre is not a fan of the show. He saw episode 2 because he and I were messaging and he was just not happy with it at all. So this seems to be there doesn't appear to be any middle road. It's either you really like it or you're really hating it. I am coming to appreciate it, but I am somewhat flummoxed by the path in which they are taking. But I can see the appeal of why other people are really enjoying it. So I'm in it. It may not be appointment viewing when it drops on Thursdays. It may be something I'll throw on in the evening before, as I wind down for the day. But yeah, I'm watching it. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I really had no desire to kind of keep up. Like, I wasn't super hype about it. I think I'll tune in if people start saying it's good. Lewis said he was fine with episode 2. Fraser said he couldn't get through episode 2 yet, so that might be a telling sign. But yeah, it's a shame. I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. Maybe it'll get better.
We shall see.
All
right, bud. So thanks again to everybody who are joining us tonight. Please, if you haven't done so, hit the subscribe, the like button, all that. If you're listening after the fact, if you have the opportunity, you should join us on Monday nights at 8:15 as we talk about some of our movies that we have seen, haven't seen, favorite movies, run down the news, and what's new in the store as well. So thank you so much, John. We are talking There Will Be Blood. This is one of my movies that I have on a fairly repetitious flow in my house here. So I've got some rundown for you. Ready?
Yeah. All right. So
all right, bud.
There Will Be Blooded.
There Will Be Blooded. Released December 26, 2007. There Will Be Blood was written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, who was known at the time for Boogie Nights, Magnolia, and Punch Drunk Love. The movie stars actor extraordinaire Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano, whom we most recently saw as the Riddler in the Batman movie. Now, the score for the movie was done by Johnny Greenwood. And if you're wondering why that name sounds familiar, well, you, my friends, are Radiohead fans, as Greenwood is known as one of the masterminds behind Radiohead, which was a huge fan of back in the day. Greenwood wasn't sure he could actually score the movie, John. But director Paul Thomas Anderson disagreed, and he actually gave Greenwood a finished copy of the movie, sans score. 3 weeks later, Greenwood came back with over 2 hours of music for this movie, in which he was nominated for a Grammy Award. The movie has ended up on over 40 top 10 of 2007 lists, with Time Magazine stating There Will Be Blood, quote, is one of the most wholly original American movies ever made. In 2009, Rolling Stone and various other outlets chose the movie as the #1 movie of the decade. In 2016, John, it was voted the #3 best film of the 21st century by 177 film critics from around the world. Nominated for 8 Academy Awards, it won 2 Oscars, Best Cinematography and Best Actor for Daniel Day-Lewis. With a budget of $25 million, it took in only $76 million at the box office, but did pretty well in home video releases, scoring over $24 million there. The movie, as you can see on the screen, has a 91% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and an audience score of 86%. So, John, let's chat about milkshakes, oil, and greed.
Oh man, yeah. Shout outs to Fraser, who I think, Rob, you gave me the heads up about this, but he was starting to think it was a silent film, because literally nobody talks until like the first 15, I want to say almost 20 minutes. But with that being said, so Rob, you claim this is on your rewatch.
Yeah, it is. In fact, I've watched it twice since last Monday.
Since last month. Since last Monday.
Since last Monday.
You fit in 5 hours to watch this movie twice.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I do understand why it's so highly acclaimed. Not one of the movies that I would be rushing to theaters to see and stuff like that. But much like I would say Inglourious Bastards, when that came out, I didn't really know what it was, but one of my friends wanted to go. So I went, but it wasn't in my wheelhouse, but I really enjoyed it when I saw it. So this movie, I think I'm in the same boat. I did make fun of Rob because it is 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah, you were mad. You were mad. You were like, and in fact, just very quickly, this past weekend, Saturday Night Live Pete Davis did a song with is it Gunna? I think he was the musical guest.
Yeah,
They
rapper,
did
yeah.
a pre-recorded song about selecting a movie that's a short movie. I'm only good for a short movie, like no more than an hour and a half at night. They're scrolling through and it has to be a short movie, right? And I was like, this is I gotta send this to John because this is all what John's about. Anything more than 90 minutes, you're like, I can't do it.
The movie did have me, and if I could have watched it all in one sitting, but I had to split it up into I think at least two viewings just because the sheer length of it and other things going on in life. But overall, I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I don't know if I would recommend it for everybody, but I can see why people dig it. Performances are really good. This guy Daniel Day-Lewis, I don't know if I've seen him in a lot of other things. This guy. I've always heard of him.
Okay,
but I can't think of what else. I think he played Abe Lincoln at one point in some movie.
Yeah, in the Steven Spielberg movie Lincoln. Yeah.
But I didn't watch that, so I'm not familiar with a lot of his work. But he really killed this character. Like this character was ridiculous. Like I would have thought that was just the okay. This movie was so dense. I felt like I read a book. This movie was so dense. I felt like I took a whole history course. This movie was so dense. I feel like I was like I grew like I almost like I grew up. I followed this guy along his journey. It felt like really authentic in like its portrayal of what it was like to do things back in that day. And oh man, what a terrible life it was back then. You get anything done when they start talking about I gotta go here and I gotta do this. I'm like, oh my god, the amount of work and time that it's gonna take to do this is astronomical. How are they gonna get anything done? But since you are the expert in this film, I've only seen it once, folks. So Rob has seen it at least 2 times more. Whatever he's seen it plus 2 that he just watched this weekend. What do you have to say about this movie that we haven't already heard from yet?
Yeah, well, this guy, Daniel Day-Lewis,
this guy,
he is one hell of an actor. I mean, he won an Oscar back in the late 80s for My Left Foot, about a painter who was disabled and used his feet to paint. Obviously, he won this one. He's now retired from acting, but he's one of those guys. He's an actor's actor. He's very committed to the role. Fraser said he was great in Gangs of New York, which is a Martin Scorsese movie, John, which is on Netflix, which is now on my list again because I did watch it back in the day. Okay.
I have seen it.
Yeah, this is a guy
like it.
He is absolutely committed to his roles, and he is one could say he's a character actor in so much as that he's when he gets into the character, he usually stays in character even when they're not filming. That's how committed to the role he is. In terms of this movie, I mean, I'm a big fan of Paul Thomas Anderson's work. I haven't seen Licorice Pizza, but I was a huge fan of Magnolia and Boogie Nights. Man, this is just like, listen, there's no action. There's one gunshot.
There's a
few gunshots when they're hunting for quail, but there's only one violent gunshot scene with his brother. It is a story. Like you really feel you are like peering through a window of what it was like back between 1898 and 1940.
I feel like I was there. I feel like I experienced it. Like I went to Westworld or something and then was like, hey, let's live the life of an oil man or whatever.
But isn't that crazy? Like that movie, could you actually feel transported into that time where a lot of times you're watching and Westerns are notorious for this. You can watch a Western like, oh, I'm watching a Western, but you don't really feel like you're there. This movie makes you feel like you are there, like that you're looking at your hands for oil because everything was just so dirty. Can we just say,
yeah, I was like, oh, I'm good.
Well, I sent you a text and I'm like, oh, blessing a child with oil on his forehead, probably not the best thing in the world. Always when he was in the pit and he's breathing the oil and he's trying to get fresh air because the noxious fumes are about to knock him out. Like this guy, how many times did he almost die? Right? I mean, from falling down on his own, he broke his leg and trapped in the bot. And like as he's there, he realizes he's found silver, right? Like his leg is broken. when the other guy
I
was
question, you know,
crushed.
when they're always like, oh, back in the day, life expectancy was a lot shorter. I started to question like how old the actors were. I'm like, would they really have gotten to this age back then? Because it's so hazardous to live. Like when he meets his like his supposed long lost brother, I'm like, these guys are looking a little bit older. I'm like, would they have lived this long? It's like such a
Didn't the
hard life.
scurvy get them?
Yeah.
But when he's in the bottom of the well and the thing comes tumbling down and it kills the dude next to him and it impales him, you're just like,
Yeah.
this guy almost died twice in the first 35 minutes. This is just it's a very deep story driven movie. And I would, much like drinking his milk, the milkshake. I was
milk.
eating this whole thing up like crazy, like watching Paul Dano, play the role as this.
Yeah, I was going to say,
evangelical minister.
Who do you like performance wise? I guess we have to give it away to Daniel Day-Lewis because he was amazing. Like this character, I would believe that if he was like, this was my life story and I'm telling it, I would believe it. So who other than him? So you're maybe picking Paul Dano?
Yeah, Paul, well, I mean, he's the only, you know what? I will say the kid who played his son, HW, did a fantastic job. Like, it's just some dude out of Texas. He's a kid, and he's never done anything else since then, right?
Yeah.
But he was fantastic as HW. It was a very, we've seen a lot of movies and TV shows of late, John, where you've got a kid as the sidekick, and it helps propel the story. And in this, he wasn't a sidekick. He was integral to, showing us that this kid was his, ward or whatever. But when that explosion happens, his son loses his hearing. He doesn't give two shits about his kid. He is more happy with the fact that his oil derrick is on fire, because it just goes to show that he was right. He had oil in that area. And it's just like, that's what's more important to him, that he was right and that it was there.
Did you know, like, because the other character dying, which is the guy you talked about getting impaled in the hole earlier, right? And then he takes the son from that guy. I totally missed that somehow. I don't know if you picked that up the first time you watched it or whatever, that he wasn't really his son, or you had to wait till it was explained later. For some reason,
the guy had the kid at the beginning. He was walking around with the baby. Yeah. And then he puts them in like a
I remember seeing him put it in the thing. Yeah. And then he just, I guess when he comes out of the well, he's just like, I guess you're my son now, right? But I feel like that was all done in silence, right?
Yeah. And he's pouring the whiskey on the bottle of like
milk,
right? He's like, what?
Yeah, so I remember all that scene and stuff, but for some reason I just didn't put two and two together, and I thought maybe that guy was just watching his son for him or something like that. And then I'm like, are they ever going to talk with the wife and stuff like that? But I guess it all made sense. But yeah, he played a very crucial point, especially later on in that point. So yeah, so you would give kind of like a runner up to, well, obviously, I guess
Paul Dano. I mean, dude, he was like, Paul Dano was absolutely bananas in that role as Eli, right? Like, you sent me a text, you're like, is everybody always so sweaty? Because
everyone was really sweaty in this movie.
they were dirty as hell, right? Like, they were just dirty. It was always like that. It was you know what? It was greasy. They just looked greasy. And seeing this whole thing, about the church, like, when he was slapping, Daniel Day-Lewis plays Daniel Plainview, and he's slapping him in the church, and he's like, you've abandoned your boy. And at one time, it looks like Daniel Day-Lewis is going to break character, because he looks like he's laughing a little bit as he's getting slapped. And he's like, oh, like that, right? Like, it was like, I just can't pull away from, when I watch this movie, I can't just watch it. And I am just in complete, I feel like I'm, some people, like, they get this. I don't know if you've ever been to like a live play, and you feel like you are, you're lucky to be witnessing like a great performance being performed live in front of you. But I get that every time I watch this movie, because I feel like there's just so much depth to these guys. And then when I'm watching it, I'm just like blown away by it.
No, like I think you're right. Just it feels like you're there. It feels like you're there watching it unfold live. That's how authentic
Yeah.
the performance feels like. So I was gonna maybe quickly just jump to your favorite moment, I guess, so we can kind of keep things rolling. So you've already mentioned the slaps. I here's a couple of my favorites, and
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
see
yeah.
if they line up with yours. So first, Eli gets slapped around because he's asking for his money on the
Yeah.
oil field, and he gets basically his face pushed into the oil dirt, which was a crazy. I'm like, what the hell? This guy just lost it. He's gone crazy. And then that cycles around to the slap scene that you're talking about, where he kind of like makes him uh, admit that he's abandoned his son. And then there's I think that when he has to leave his son on the
Yeah, on the
train,
train. Yeah.
that was a crazy scene, and it's very subtle too. He just kind of like just marches off, and then you
Yep.
kind of see him pause for a second, then you see the son kind of like trying to get to him. Like
Because his
almost,
friend,
yeah. His friend was like kind of enforcing him that
Yeah.
you're going on this trip and you're going sent to this whatever. I think Henry's betrayal is one of the scenes as well too, when he finally gets him to admit that
Yeah.
he's not. And I was like, oh my god, is this going to go this way? And so much for that guy. And then one of the climaxes is one. What's the son's name? HW or something like
HW.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What that whole scene where he's basically saying, I want to leave and do my own thing, and then he's like, oh, you're going to be my competition, and then there's a whole thing between the sign language and everything, which is crazy because the jump between the age from when he's a kid to like all of a sudden he's married is crazy. I feel like we could have took another hour like in the middle there to expand that part. And then my absolute favorite scene is I think the first time Eli is exercising the arthritis of the old lady's hand. And then he's the first time he's like kind of like almost like grabbing the spear.
He's wrestling.
And he's like throwing it at the church. Like that was great. And then Daniel he shows up after. He's like, that was quite a performance. And he just kind of like giving it to him. He's just like,
Yeah.
that was something. I was like, it's so good when he's like, and then gets everyone to chant along. Like I definitely got to go back and rewatch that scene. Did I miss any of your favorite scenes, Rob? Or is it, I'm sure there's some
No,
scenes that you notice upon your multiple watchings, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's a scene where Standard Oil that so HW has come back.
Yeah.
He comes back from his schooling, and they're having dinner in this little restaurant, and the guys from Standard Oil are there, and and obviously HW has lost all of his hearing, and Plainview is obviously an alcoholic. Like there's no if ands or buts. Like he's definitely not all there, right? And he puts the cloth over his head and he starts talking, right? Because it's like, oh, if you can't see me, you don't know that it's me. Like it's just the absurdity of it all. And
he takes a victory sip after. I think he drinks the guy's drink after he's done gives the speech. He just swigs it all and then just walks away. I'm like, why? Who does this?
Or even there was a scene prior to that where he is meeting with the guy at Standard Oil, and he threatens the guy, like, I will kill you. And the guy is like, "What? Why would you say that?"
That's a pretty good invitation. I love his gravelly voice is so good.
Well, because he's a very soft spoken Englishman, eh?
Yeah.
So to have that, but then when the guy's like, "But why would you say that? Why would you threaten me?" Like it just felt like. It was just like, you almost felt this guy is going to piss his pants, right? Because there is the moment where after his buddy gets back after dropping HW off, he, as much as he tries to, I think it's pretty clear that he doesn't really care for the kid that much. There is that moment though of humanity where he's like, is he in a good room? Like,
he's like, how big
is he? How is it? How big is the room? Is it private? Is he buying? Like, does he have what he like? Maybe it's guilt. I don't know. But there is that moment of humanity that you kind of see that allows you to kind of say, he's not that much of a dick. But the reality is, when
and then ending kicks in.
And then at the end, like you said, he's got his big long cigarette on his thing, and he's like, let your talking hand talkie like that, right? And he's like flapping your hands. And it was just like, it was just so funny. And the poor butler, Mr. Plainview, Mr. Plainview.
I've just murdered a man.
And he's at the very end, after he's like takes, you know, Eli's coming there and he wants money because he's sinned and he's lost money in the stock exchange because it's the Great Depression time, right? And he belts him over the head with the bowling pin, and he's like, "I'm finished." At the very end,
he's just like, "I'm finished." I remember when I got to that point and I heard the ending. I remember this was a big deal at the time when the movie came out, and everyone was just like, I don't know if they were making memes of it or they just didn't understand what the ending was. But yeah, it was a pretty over the top ending. I wonder what There Will Be Blood 2 would look like if there was any follow up to this. Does he go to jail for it? Does he cover it up? Does like
it takes place in a milkshake place. I drink your milkshake. You know, just that is just so funny. He's like walking, like he's so drunk, and yet he's walking along, and he puts it. Here's my straw, and here I go. Like that. It was just like, man, it's just that's the whole thing. Is like you're watching this, you're like, holy shit, like this guy, like the actor, is like he's putting it all out there. Like he's hitting, he's like Babe Ruth. He's hitting for the swinging for the fences, and he's hitting it every fucking time. And you're just like, wow.
Supposedly this is like loosely based off some book or something.
Yeah, it is.
Like so if he read the audiobook, I would definitely listen just because of the voice that he does is so crazy and it's so distinct. I don't know what he knows. Like you said, he sounds more like an Englishman. Like
he is.
It's so distinctive. I'm gonna have to maybe check out some of his other stuff because I can't think of anything recently that I've seen. Do you have a favorite speech or thing of his? My favorite thing is like the spiel that he gives when he goes to dig the oil. He's like, I bring my own men. It's a family. But like this is HW. He's my partner, and like that whole spiel.
He's
I
my
really
son and
like
my partner.
Yeah. I really like that. I don't know if you have like one of his favorites.
Yeah, no, because that's the first. Like I think Lewis and Fraser said, like there was no talking in the first 14 minutes, but that's the first thing when he's on the train with the baby, right? And baby's playing with his nose and all that, and then he's like, you know, ladies and gentlemen, like I am an oil man, and a lot of people will come out like that whole like soliloquy about everything, and it just sets up everything. He's like, I have, you know, I churn out 2,000 barrels a day or a week, paying me $5,000 a week, and this and that. Like he just goes into this whole thing, and then when the people are like arguing and shouting, he's like, "Fuck, I'm out." Like. And the guy's like, please don't leave. And he goes, I don't have any time for this type of shit. You guys figure your like, and oil is falling down the hill. Like he's walking in it. Like it's all over his shoes. He doesn't give two shits. It's like that whole opening scene is like, wow. Right. Like just, unreal. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I think, How many more times do you think you're going to watch this, Rob? This is infinitely on your playlist, right?
Yeah. I mean, am I going to watch it again in the next month? No, probably not. But before the end of the year, I'll watch it again. I usually try to watch it like once a year. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, John, we watch a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And we watch, and you start, listen, you have to watch like the shit to be able to appreciate the good. And we see a lot of, I would say probably mediocre to good, some great, but I think that I like to watch a movie like this, or like Pulp Fiction, or No Country for Old. Like I like to watch those ones to really understand what true cinema is, because I think we've had these discussions offline. We've had them with Stu. With these streaming services, they churn out so much content. It's quantity over quality. That it's kind of nice to go back to not that long ago, just 2000, it's like 15 years, 2007, and to see a masterpiece like this movie and being like, wow, this is what movies used to be. They used to mean something. And now we get Moonfall. It means nothing. We get Morbius. It means nothing. Right? Like,
The problem is nowadays there's this whole, and we could have a whole debate on it, this whole algorithm, I guess, to make a movie that's going to make money. It's the whole thing of things go viral versus things like a quality content thing being produced or something like that. So yeah, it is unfortunate. It is fun to watch something like this. I I quite enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm going to sit through the entire thing again anytime soon, but I'm definitely going to go watch parts. And now I'm going to be able to join in the conversation when people start talking about critically acclaimed films. But it seems like this director, I don't know if you want to throw out one of your other favorite movies of his. This director seems to bring really good performances out from his guys. I think I was looking at his IMDb. You mentioned the Adam Sandler movie. Some people consider one of Adam Sandler's best performances. You know, and given Adam Sandler's catalog, other than Uncut Gems, I really did enjoy Uncut Gems. I haven't seen this
Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love, yeah. But do you have another movie of this particular director that's your jam as well?
Yeah, I really like Boogie Nights. It's been a very long time since I've seen it. But Magnolia.
Mm-hmm.
Magnolia with Tom Cruise was and John C. Reilly was just unreal. I haven't seen his new one, Licorice Pizza. I'm trying to think what else of his that I've seen. But you know, he's married to Maya Rudolph. You know, from Saturday Night Live, which is crazy because he's just a you know, he's not a comedian, right? You kind of think he would marry she would marry somebody that's kind of like, you know, funny and this and that. And he's just more of like an auteur, right? So, oh, look at Gord. Look at Gord. This guy, Daniel Day-Lewis.
This guy.
That's yeah, he's nutting you on that. Yeah, man, just a big fan of. I enjoy the writer, the director, Paul. You know, Thomas Anderson. I enjoy Daniel Day-Lewis. I really like this movie, man.
Not to be mistaken with Paul West.
W.S. Yeah.
Oh man. All right, I haven't seen. So you made some good recommendations there, Rob. I don't think I've seen any of those. Boogie Nights, I haven't seen. Punch Drunk Love, I haven't seen. What was the other one you mentioned?
Magnolia.
I haven't seen that. I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. So I'm gonna have to put it on my list. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it, because it's so much easier to watch the popcorn movies.
Well, that's true. 2007 was a crazy year, though. Do you know what LOM means, John?
Last of the Mohicans?
Yeah.
Daniel
Day-Lewis was in that as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Did he play Frankenstein? And Frankenstein was this murderous killer superhero Frankenstein?
What? No.
Or was that that was Eckhart, right?
Aaron Eckhart?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might have been. Yeah, Fraser says, I feel like Daniel Day-Lewis has fallen off the radar. So he actually did, Paul Thomas Anderson did a movie, and it was Daniel Day-Lewis's last movie. He retired. Shit. John, what is it? Is it Simple Thread or a...
I'm trying to grab it here. Cinematography, director.
Under director.
I must be am I a little wrong guy? Paul Thomas Anderson, right?
Yeah, he didn't do... okay. Phantom Thread. That's it. He did Phantom Thread in 2017, and that was it. That was his last movie. He said he was done with acting. He had kind of done all he wanted to do, and he's walked away. So we'll see how long that lasts. Who knows? But yeah. But John, if you haven't seen him in Lincoln, it's an amazing, great portrayal. In the Name of the Father was really good. Last Mohicans, The Gangs of New York, like he's one of these guys that I think just does these like fantastic. He just steps into the role, and it's hard to disassociate yourself with him with these things because it's just so damn good.
Oh man! All right, so I think Gord's got some questions for you. I don't know if you can answer those.
I'm not answering his questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 2007, John. So this was up for an Academy Award, up against for Best Picture, up against No Country for Old Men, and Javier Bardem took the Best Supporting Actor award in that one, and actually No Country ended up winning the picture of the year, beating out There Will Be Blood.
Oh, yeah. It often comes up the debate, this movie versus No Country for Old Men. So I guess that wraps up that wraps up a very good discussion on There Will Be Blood, and maybe we'll do it again in another year when Rob gets his rewatch for for 2023. But Rob, do we want to keep this rolling for next week? Do we want to do No Country for Old Men? Interested to hear you folks in the comments, or do we want to do something silly like a Fifth Element, or maybe a Jim Carrey movie? I don't know.
What? Why? What's with you in the Jim Carrey movie?
Didn't Jim Carrey also announce his retirement?
After playing Dr. Robotnik in Sonic 2, I have a funny feeling we'll probably see him again at some point.
Yeah. I don't know. So if anyone has Louis, I don't know if we want to watch The Mask. I think it has Cameron Diaz in it though.
Yeah.
But if anyone has a suggestion, if you guys want to keep this rolling and watch No Country for Old Men, I feel like I would.
Yeah, I'm down for that. You've never seen it, John.
I've never seen it, so this would be another movie that I haven't seen, and then maybe we'll have to definitely switch to our 90s or some type of silliness after that, unless something crazy comes out in the meantime. But if you have a suggestion, let us know in the comments. Otherwise, Rob, do we have anything else for these fine folks? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
No, if we're going ahead with No Country, it's currently on Crave on the Stars extension. So if you have that, you can watch it there.
Which movie would you choose, this movie or the No Country for Old Men, or do you have to rewatch No Country? Or is it hands down?
Two different movies. I'm going to rewatch No Country, and I'll have an answer for you. If you're saying if I'm on a desert island, which one am I watching?
Yeah.
I'll let you know next week.
Yeah. Gangs of New York. Maybe we'll have to dive back into that one day. But I feel like we should definitely do the comparison between these two films. But we'll kick it around, folks, since we don't have a definitive answer right now. Unless Rob, you want to lock it in?
Yeah, let's lock it in. Let's just do it.
Let's lock in. Okay, so we'll do one more, folks. So thanks for checking out. There Will Be Blood. If you didn't watch it, definitely check it out. I think even if you watch the first bit of it, I think you will get enticed by it.
So the one thing I did want to ask you, John.
Yeah.
I get that this is a hard movie at times to watch because you're like as Lewis said and everything else, or Fraser, there's no talking for the first four. What am I watching here? And it can be kind of slow at moments. I don't find it, but I know people who have said it. But once the movie is done as its whole, did it all of a sudden were you just like, wow, like that? I guess what I'm asking is, did your opinion or your likes of it kind of go ebb and flow throughout the course of the movie because you weren't sure what the hell you were watching? Is this good? I don't know. Do I like?
No, I think it was only the beginning when you're kind of getting ready for the ride. You're in maybe 10, 14 minutes. You're not quite sure where this is going, but as soon as he starts giving his first speech, that's when you start getting locked in. When he starts to get to being this character and talking a little more, it's pretty impressive, the physical things I guess they did. He's dragging himself across the floor and hauling himself up the shaft and all that kind of stuff. But all the as soon as he starts to get to the speaking parts, that I think that's where it'll really hook you in, and then you'll know if you want to go for the rest of the ride. But I think let's do No Country for Old Men. I haven't seen it. Everybody talks about it. I would like to be able to compare these two films back to back, and then we'll jump to something silly the following week. So, Gangs of New York. Okay, so Lewis I feel like he's in a similar boat to me. I saw Gangs of New York for some reason. I don't know why, but I've seen it.
Are you sure, John? Maybe you're thinking of a different movie altogether.
Does it not have also DiCaprio in it? Or am I thinking of a different? Yeah. I've seen it. I don't remember it at all, but I know I went to the theaters to see it.
We do have to figure out what's happening with our 90s action stuff for the second half. Although I almost kind of feel like we should just be doing a rundown of Michael Bay movies. Done so many fucking movies.
Yeah, maybe we'll pick something for. Maybe we'll have a list of options next week, and we'll just start diving into some '90s movies, and then we'll do the bracket after. We'll kind of like rejig the format a little bit to have a little more fun and not have to watch 2 movies every night or every week.
Every week.
Yeah. All right. So thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been Rob and John on the Sidekick Show, having some fun with you live every Monday night. If you're catching this on the replay, tune in on a Monday. We are live, and we like to hear from you. We'd like to talk about these movies. Even if you're not interested, like Lewis hung around for the whole episode and he didn't even see the movie. So hopefully you had a good time, Lewis.
And he probably still won't. After even hearing all this, still won't do it.
Maybe we can show him scenes. Just exercise the demon. I forgot what he was saying. He'd be like, get out. And he'd like out. It was pretty good. He's like pretending to struggle with it. It was a great performance. All right.
All right, John.
Yeah.
I wish you
got a lot of people tuning in late.
I wish you the best of weeks. I hope you have a good week, buddy. And definitely tune into the Heroes World Sidekick Show this week. I'm sure we'll be doing Moon Knight episode 2, but we are definitely going to be jumping into Morbius because,
it might only be us two. And if anyone else goes out to see it, I don't know if Stu's decided to bite the bullet and go to it. I do want to see Ambulance. So if anyone else goes out to see Ambulance, let me know. I think I might be the only one. That might be a solo project.
I might be dragged out to go see Sonic 2 this weekend. So
Sonic is not that looks legit. Sonic 2 looks legit. So whatever you guys got going on for the weekend, let us know. Yeah. But we will catch you guys
on the flip side
on the next time. Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.